Hey everyone, hi, welcome back to my channel. Okay, so I'm feeling quite chatty today. So if today's a little long-winded, I apologize. Sorry, not sorry. I'm gonna do me on my channel, and I hope y'all are here for it. If you are new here, then hi, I'm Shelly, and today I'm gonna be talking about new fiction releases that are coming out in April. And these are fiction releases that piqued my interest in some way or another, and I had a very interesting experience as I was looking through new releases in fiction. So what I do is I have a particular skill set. I went to college for library and information science, and so what I do is I look at a whole bunch of different review journals looking for highly reviewed books, especially if they're forthcoming books. I'm just looking for a good review, like a thumbs up from an authoritative source. And that could be, someone here on BookTube. It could be our resident book critic, like Steve Donahue, or one of my favorite ways to kind of search and look for a whole bunch of reviews is through my library search skills. I know that was kind of vague, but you're getting through it. So anyways, so I go to my, a couple of databases and I generate a couple of lists to look through, new release lists. And, I'm looking through them and immediately I'm like, I don't want to read that. I don't want to read that. I don't want to read that. Okay, and so here's what it was. It was like short story collection. No thanks. I know that there are a bunch of short story collection lovers out there, but the moment I saw short story collection, I was like, no, they don't usually do it for me, so no thank you. I know I should probably work on my attitude for short story collections. I also, anything that was like sad, traumatic, and set in realistic fiction, so it needed to have all those components, so sad, traumatic, and realistic fiction. I was like, no thanks. And I started to dig around with my feelings, and I was like, why don't I want to read sad, realistic fiction? And I was like, well, it could mean, it could be like the climate of our world right now. There's a lot going on, but it also could mean that I'm reading that genre right now. I'm currently reading War and Peace, which is not sad, it's actually really funny, but it is a chunkster of a book, and it's realistic fiction talking about war and our internal lives and the struggles that we have, and can we really change ourselves? That's one of the questions I think Tolstoy is asking. But it's, set in realistic, it's being very realistic about it. There's no magical elements. There's no, divine spirits coming down and intervening. It's just, straight fiction. Then I also am reading the final revival of Opal and Nev right now. Again, realistic fiction, set in the kind of, right now it's sort of set in the 70s-ish. I'm like, okay, and this is good, but then again, and it's not sad, but it's talking about, the way that women are perceived, the way that Black women are perceived, conflicts that we have in our lives and the way that we get over them. So I'm like, okay, so realistic fiction talking about kind of a heavy subject. And then I'm also reading Great Circle by Maggie Shipstead. And this is also realistic fiction, historical fiction. It's in two parts. We have a first person narrator that is set in present day. She's snarky and got some attitude. And then we also have this other timeline that's historical fiction based. And so, but it's like realistic fiction, there's no magic to it. There's just telling of these two interwoven narratives that are set in, decades apart kind of thing. So I was like, maybe my reaction to new releases has something to do with what I'm reading right now and the way that I'm feeling about the news. And so I noticed that I gravitated towards books that were either marketed as witty, funny, humorous. I was like, whenever those words popped up, y'all, I looked through 70 new releases. I read through 70 new releases. And I was like, okay, I don't want to read a love story. It's not really, right now that's not really my deal. So I was like, but if it has to do with something that's like witty, funny, not heartwarming, not heartwarming, guys. I'm like, I want something irreverent, cynical. You wouldn't think that from me, but this is what I want from a book. I want you to tell me like it is, give me a different perspective on the world. I want you to be snarky, cynical, harsh, but make me laugh. Is that too much to ask for? Okay, I'm gonna stop. The other thing I gravitated towards was anything otherworldly. I'm like, you know, like actually otherworldly sci-fi. Take me to another world, a fantasy, a fairy tale. I was like, get me out of get me out of this universe, get me out of this world, please, thank you, and take me somewhere else. Take me to the beyond. Take me to a world that doesn't exist, and I can pretend to be a fairy princess, queen. Take me out of here. Give me a portal to somewhere else. And it's not because I don't like my life right now. I think it's also, again, a reflection of what I'm reading. I'm reading things that are very rooted in our world. And I was like, our world is heavy and sad, and it has a lot of things going on. And so I just want to forget about this world, and I want to be taken somewhere else. So with these two things in mind, my list is kind of split down the middle. I have a bunch of books not a bunch. I have a couple of books that have to do or are leaning more towards humor, darkly humored, some sort of humor-ish thing going on. And then I also have like another set of a few books that are sci-fi, otherworldly. And then weirdly, I have one book, one single book that is rooted in the real world. It has a sad story, but you know what? It received all these wonderful high reviews from all of these review houses, from these review sources. And I was like, okay, you're piquing my interest. Maybe I will put all of my feelings aside and I will read about this traumatic event, coming of age story, and so on and so forth. Now that you know where I'm coming from, now that you know how I'm feeling as I was looking through all these new releases, I'm gonna present to you what I found, and hopefully it will kind of, you know, pique your interest as well. So if you were looking for dark humor, you know, not dark humor, if you're looking for some humor, if you're looking to escape this world like me, then hopefully this list will be tailored to your interests. And if you were looking, if you're like, Shelly, I just, you know, like, I just want a really good book, then hopefully that last one that got all the good reviews, rooted in the real world and centering around trauma, I hope that book will pique your interest in some way or another. Okay, so let's just get started. I'm feeling very all over the place, so I am sorry. The first several books made out my list because of humor, and the first book is Grant Ginder's Let's Not Do That Again, which is going to be released on April 5th, and it is being published by Macmillan. So here's the description. Nancy Harrigan is running for Senate, and she's going to win, goddammit. Not that that's her slogan, although it could be. She said all the right things, passed all the right legislation, chapped her lips kissing babies. There's just one problem. Her grown children, Greta and Nick Harrison, are adrift. And so basically what Greta does, her daughter, is that she ends up getting involved with some extreme protesters, I believe. Yes, extremist protesters. And Nick, Nancy's son, and Nancy herself have to kind of dash off and try and fix whatever problem or whatever scenario Greta has gotten into. But here's what really kind of got me. It says that it's supposed to be, it is defined as satirical fiction, which I was like, yes. And that the writing style is witty, engaging, and well crafted. So this receives star reviews from Publishers Weekly and Kirkus. And so I'm like, maybe a satirical political drama comedy? Yes, that sounds good. The next humorous book that made it on my list was Christine Simon's The Patron Saint of Second Chances, which is set in Italy. What a beautiful setting, y'all. It's coming out on April 12th, 2022, and it is being published by Atria Books. I hope I'm saying that right, Atria Books. Okay, so this is set in the small town of Italy, and the small town needs to fix its pipes. The mayor has to come up with a whole bunch of money in a small amount of days, and kind of like plot ensues from there. I think that this is going to be one of those like quirky, offbeat, witty, small town funny stories. And you know what? There was something about that really just charmed me. And I was like, yes, I could use a little small town humor in my life. Let me tell you who starred this. So Booklist and Publishers Weekly gave this book a thumbs up. Moving from light small town fiction to sort of darkly humored fairy tale fiction, we're going to Nettle and Baume by Kingfisher. or Kingfisher rather. So Nettle and Baume is going to come out on April 26th, and the publisher is Tom Doherty Associate Books. What I really like this is that this is supposed to be, give me one second, let me get to the right page. This is going to be a fairy tale retelling. And again, I was really drawn to this idea of taking myself out of this world into another world. And of course, fairy tales are like totally otherworldly, and it definitely checked that box. But I also was really interested in this like darkly humorous tag that this book got. So let me read this description to you. So, to save her sister and topple the throne, Mara has offered the tools she needs if she completes 3 seemingly impossible tasks with the help of a disgraced ex-knight, a reluctant fairy godmother, and an enigmatic grave witch and her foul familiar. So it sounds like a group of pretty quirky characters going on a quest in order to kind of save the world or save this main character's life. Well, save her sister. Speaking of otherworldly books, my next book definitely counts as an otherworldly book, and it is written by the author of post-apocalyptic and otherworldly stories. The person I'm talking about is Emily St. John Mandel. I have not read an Emily St. John Mandel book, but I do own one. I know that she was very well received for the book Station 11 and a book that I can't remember the title of which I cannot remember the title. But anyways, Emily St. John Mandel, she is known for lyrical, kind of slow-moving and thoughtful post-apocalyptic fiction. I heard she's really good at what she does, and her latest installment in her writing career is no exception. It's being very well received and very highly reviewed. So it's being highly reviewed by Booklist, Publishers Weekly, and Kirkus, and it definitely follows kind of her writing trends, and it definitely piqued my interest. Though I will say I'm more interested in reading her backlog books than this new one. But the new one, I was like, the cover is so beautiful. It'll take me out of here. It'll wrench my heart. I'll be living in another world, and it all sounds wonderful. I keep on joking about how I want to, leave this world. I want to go far away. I want to be taken out of this reality and just plunged into something totally different. But you know what? I don't even have to leave this planet for something like that. Maybe just like taking an airplane across the ocean and going to a different country might provide me that same otherworldly type of adventure. And I definitely would get that with this next book, 7 Steeples by Sara Baume. Let me see when this is being released. So this is it's set to release on April 26th, and it is going to be published by Mariner Books. This book is supposed to be a meditative and beautiful writing celebrating nature and the quiet Irish countryside. And my husband is going to be traveling to Ireland very, very shortly. And maybe I really want to read this because I want to travel with my husband to Ireland. It's a business trip. I'm not going. I'm okay with it. It's not about like, I could have gone and then I'm not. It's just like kind of settled between us that he's gonna, he's got work to do there. I've got work to do here, but it doesn't mean that the desire of my soul doesn't want to go with him and experience the quiet, meditative solitude of Ireland. But really, I think this book would give it to me. So this says that it's set in the Irish countryside, and we're following a couple and their dogs as the seasons pass and they come to understand the small world around them. It's supposed to be kind of a leisurely pace, as atmospheric and lyrical. And for whatever reason, that sounded absolutely beautiful. Not for whatever reason, probably because I want to travel to Ireland with my husband, and I'm not. So reading a book about Ireland and its beauty is gonna have to do it for me. Okay, y'all, we have arrived at the book that breaks all of my rules. Somehow I still wanted to read it, even though it is rooted in the real world. It is supposed to be tragic and romantic and heart-ripping and earth-shattering, and apparently, according to all the reviews, it is like the best book that was ever written, okay? And the book I'm talking about is Mungo by I'm sure y'all will correct me in the comments, which I don't mind. Just do it politely, y'all. And this is by Douglas Stuart. It's going to be released on April 5th, and it is being published by Grove Press. So this is what this book is about. In Glasgow, Mungo and James, who should be enemies due to their religious beliefs, fall in love, dreaming of finding somewhere they belong, while Mungo works hard to hide his true self from all of those around him. Sounds beautiful. You know what? You would think that this author had won a Booker or something, and that's why everybody gave it such a high review. Oh wait, that's already happened. Okay, so Douglas Stuart did write Shuggie Bain, which won the Booker in 2020. This received young Mungo, oh man, that's really gonna bother me, has received starred reviews from all the places, y'all. So it received star reviews from Booklist, Publishers Weekly, Library Journal, and Kirkus, and it sounds wonderful. I haven't read Shuggie Bain. I want to read Shuggie Bain, but as y'all know, I have a lot of things that I want to read, and there's only so much time in this world, and Shuggie Bain is not in my hands right now, so I'm kind of like pushing it off to the side until, until I find a copy or until an opportunity presents itself. So yeah, but anyways, this young Mungo does sound absolutely beautiful. It sounds actually the closest aligned to my like normal reading habits. I tend to gravitate towards like sad and heartbreaking stories about love and loss and romance. But for whatever reason, when I was looking at these new releases, this time around when I was looking at new releases, I didn't gravitate towards that type of book except for this particular book by Douglas Stuart. Instead, I was like, give me the fairy tales, take me out of this world. I want to go to Ireland and meditate on the country, on the countryside of Ireland, in the hills of Ireland. I want to be there. I want to go on a funny chase with a mother who's a senator and her children. I want to do all of these other things, and I don't want to think about how hard life is or how hard life can be. Instead, I just, want to go somewhere else. At least that's how I was feeling for this time around. So let me know, do any of these pique your interest? Do you know of a book that's coming out in April? There was a lot that I just didn't really want to read, or the description of a book sounded more like a book that I owned, that I was more excited about, that I didn't have to spend money on to read. But these books, if the publisher sent me them this week, I would maybe pick them up. Definitely Young Mungo, which is weirdly the one that I sort of was like, it's the least aligned to these feelings that I'm having right now, and yet it's probably the one that I would pick up first. Either that or Nettle and Baume, because for whatever reason, that dark fairy tale going on an adventure with a quirky cast sounds really, really fun. Okay, that's it for me. I've rambled on long enough. I am having a lot of feelings today. Thank you all for listening and for watching. Let me know if you like this kind of thing. I love sort of following the market. Even if I don't pick up something, it helps me understand like what's out there, what I might be seeing on lists coming up, what I might be seeing from you all soon. And then you guys can, report back to me on whether it was good or not. And as much as I wish I could read everything, I only have a limited amount of time. And so I really do rely on your guys' feedback, professional reviews to help me kind of, figure out what I'm going to read next, which is always really helpful. We're all helping each other out here, right? Okay, I'm going to stop rambling. I will see you all soon, I'm sure. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Bye, guys.